Welcome back to another video. Today we are gonna continue with the alternative future of the world, part 8. And before I even say anything, I made a mistake last video. Sudan was not independent. I said this was a new map. I'm sorry. Darfur was independent, and I forgot about this. Somaliland was also released in that war. And today we're gonna just continue looking at the alternative future. Not really much. I can't say not much happened. Well, not a lot happened. There was a massive war in South America, which basically made the continent basically just Brazil and Colombia, really, because they're like the two only powers. Argentina's basically gone. Well, obviously they're still there, but like their military is kind of hurt from that war. South Peru was annexed by North Peru, which is now just Peru. Still, they do hold claims over what Brazil took in the Peru Civil War, but I don't think Brazil's going to be giving that back because they're just like that. What else happened was Arabia uniting, and not really much else. Whatever else happened, I can't remember, or just I don't really think there's need to talk about it. But we're going to come down here to Europe, where not much has happened, but we do have Russia kind of have an issue. They're not very stable right now. A lot of people in Russia and countries around Russia feel like Russia needs to give back land, because Russia owns Belarus, Estonia, part of Ukraine. People feel like the lands need to go back to those countries, but the leaders nah, we're not giving them back. But something's gonna happen to him. He dies, not by anything, not like a cause of death, by a bullet. A new leader is obviously gonna be put in place by the people, who is very, he's not a dictator, he's definitely more, he understands what the people want. So he's going to give back some land. Not too much, because, well, he still wants to keep land, obviously. But he's going to give back Estonia to the Baltics, because, well, if you know, in the big war, Estonia was kind of Estonia was taken over by Russia, and then in the peace treaty they were annexed. So we have Russia officially releasing Estonia, which Estonia is quick to join the Baltic Union, which basically means this is now actually the Baltic Union. And the only other piece of land they do give back is this piece of land that Belarus took from Ukraine in the very beginning of this series. Russia really doesn't want to give up the land they have, because the land they own is pretty important. Not saying Donbass and Luhansk are important to Russia or anything. They're just heavily populated by Russians, and the people there do want... The Ukrainians there want reunification, but that wouldn't end too good. So yeah, Russia's giving back a lot of land, and this is honestly showing more that Russia's no longer a threat. But now we're going to come down over here to Turkey and Azerbaijan, and these two are actually going to unite into one. These two are very close, and a unification between them in the future is pretty likely, although it might not, because they don't border each other. But in this timeline, Azerbaijan invade Armenia, took them over, so now they unite into one. And this is really it for Turkey's expansion. They don't really want to expand anyway, but Turkey doesn't really see any need to, they don't need land. That's what I'm trying to say. Now we're gonna come back over here to Europe again. We're gonna have some unifications. Such one being Benelux, which this is a new map, so I don't know if they're already unified. But we have Benelux uniting together. kind of obvious that they're close, so why not? We also have Portugal and Spain uniting into Iberia, which pretty surprising, although maybe not. They're two different languages, but it's fine. But that's going to be it. So now we're going to come down here over here to the new alliance in Northern African Access, and they're going to do some funny stuff. We have the entire alliance declaring war on Chad and the Central African Republic. Now, obviously, straight away, the WDO and PDO and basically some neutral countries such as what countries would be neutral? Switzerland, not Switzerland, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. A lot of countries see this as like, wow, because these two countries haven't really had their borders change much. Basically, every country nearly in the series has had their borders change in one way or another. But they're going to fall to the Northern African Access. Straight away, they begin their invasion of Chad, and these two countries are extremely weak. Like, obviously Chad has issues, but like, they'll probably fix that. But they're not going to do very well, because they're not strong. Darfur does do some stuff, but they really don't get far until Egypt comes and they just kill Car. Central African Republic and Chad both surrender because they don't see any chance in surviving. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. So in the peace treaty, not much happens, but when you realise it kind of does give a big effect. Chad and Car were both forced to have new governments, which joined the North African Axis. Libya and Darfur were given land in, yeah. Now, this alliance is kind of put to a stop, as Nigeria and Cameroon are both, no, Nigeria's not really scared, Nigeria can fight this. But Cameroon is scared, like, they border this alliance, they don't want it, they don't want to be invaded by it. So they're going to do a pretty... Oh, just... If I can't... Yeah, okay, there we go. They're going to do a pretty interesting move here, and that is unite with... Nigeria. Nigeria wasn't even expecting this. Like, Nigeria was just neutral. But Nigeria is now... Obviously, this is... That's not going to be fun to invade. North African Access knows Nigeria is probably the strongest country in Africa at this point. Well, maybe not. Since the East African Federation and South Africa and Egypt might be stronger. I did touch up on the powers in Africa, but it's definitely changed now. Egypt's still probably the strongest. Then it's the East African Federation. And then Nigeria, then South Africa, and then I'd say the French controlled Algeria, which right now is actually going towards going towards maybe an independence thing. It's kind of weird. The only reason France is saying that Algeria can be given independence is because they said, Algeria, you can have your independence as long as you stay in our alliance. To be honest, I don't think Algeria would even leave because of, well, North African Access. But they can't expand anywhere, except for maybe Djibouti, which, yeah, we're gonna just get this out of the way. Eritrea and Egypt do a little special operation into Djibouti, which is gonna make it just die. Now they can't expand anywhere. Somaliland would just, that would look horrible on the map. The East African Federation would put up one hell of a fight, same with Nigeria. So, where is there to go? Well, yeah, So, where they're gonna go is, the West African Federation, which is a lot of land. Now, straight away, the WDO realizes, wait a minute, that is not good if they annex all that. And Nigeria is kind of like, well, this is just freelance, we're just gonna invade. Obviously, the USA is like Nigeria. Why? Nigeria is an expansionist country in this timeline, so it's not really surprising they just declared war on the West African Federation. We do have Algeria and Morocco being supported by Iberia and other WDO members. They both declare war on the West African Federation, because if the Northern African Axis gets hold of all of this land, that wouldn't be fun to deal with, obviously. Now, the big thing here is that the West African Federation has a much longer border with Algeria, Morocco, and Nigeria than obviously this. But see, like the North African Axis was the aggressor, and they had this entire invasion planned out, except from these guys joining. This is going to go extremely well for them. So yeah, they just send all their troops in. Like, there were so many troops on this border, they just send them all in. A bunch of troops, just Egyptian and mainly Libyan, literally just destroy this part, which is Niger. They mainly focus on trying to capture the part that borders Algeria, but that's desert. They were worried that they wasn't even part of the plan to invade that. Well, they were, but they didn't really focus many troops there. But now they are. They don't want Algeria invading that part, because that would probably lead to it being cut off. They're trying their best to cut off Nigeria and Algeria. I don't think they want that, but eventually they are able to capture all of Niger and even a part of Mali and Benin, and that's not good. But those troops are now pretty exhausted, because that was a lot of land they had to invade. Remember, Africa's a massive continent. But now Nigeria is invading Benin and Togo, which they find relatively easy, because the West African Federation is not putting in much of a fight. This union was just united because they wanted that end of Comic Issue 6, which has now been done, but they're facing an invasion from some big powers. Morocco's army in Western Sahara exits out, which is a very rebellious area, so this does kind of stop. Well, not really. But Morocco does do pretty well invading this area. Algeria is going to send some troops. Algeria is going to send their troops out into the West African Federation. And at this point, the West African Federation is literally dying. They say to both sides, this is just stupid. Why are you invading us? Obviously, WDO is kind of like, we want to help you, but then the West African Federation says back, you're invading us. How is that helping us? Don't really actually touch up on the capital of this place. It's most likely Bamako in Mali, which the WDO was able to just capture, which basically means this union is going to crumble. Many parts of it with people start to rise up in support of the WDO, and these are going to connect up. These aren't rebellions, these are just people rising up from the government because they just want them to surrender. And it's going to lead to a pretty big chunk of this land going over to the WDO, because this entire area surrenders. So, this is a lot of fun. It's a really chaotic war. The WDO continues to push in, but their troops are basically exhausted at this rate. Well, not really, but this is desert they're invading. And, I haven't shown you what the Northern African Axis has been able to do, but, they captured parts of Mali. Okay. So, at this point, we have the West African Federation surrendering to WTO, so let's take a look at this peace treaty. So, the peace treaty, the West African Federation is completely destroyed. We can see that Morocco took a big chunk out of it, which is mostly just Mauritania. Algeria got a little bit of land. Libya and Chad got land, as well as Niger being released, which is technically Mali as well, but it's just Niger, because that's easier for me to say. I'm not going to call it Niger Mali. It's Norway and Sweden, buddy. If you don't know what I was on about, there was a union between Norway and Sweden, which was called Norway Sweden. What? Why not just give it a better name, like, I don't know, Sweden sounds dumb. Okay, maybe Norway Sweden was a good name. But, as we can see, a new union is now here, which is just going to be called... What should I call it? It's just going to be called the Saharan Union. Mainly because this is just Saharan desert. But it is going to join the WTO because it did get a new government. And Nigeria now is really leaning towards WTO. They were allies with like the UK and USA, but they are mainly now basically just WTO. Same with this East African Federation, who's going to get a new member. It's like this union just keeps getting new members. That member's going to be Zambia. Zambia decided to join because of their economy kind of shattering. And now we have a lot of tensions building up between South Africa, Angola, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and the East African Federation. As this is now like just tight as hell. So there's a lot less countries in Africa than there is in modern day. Madagascar is neutral, they haven't done anything, so I'm not sure I bother. North African Axis can't expand anywhere except for Somaliland, which they don't want to bother with. Tunisia, that's also there, but somebody would not be happy with that. They get a little angry. And now we have one final thing happen in this video, which will lead up into the next video. It took a while, but China finally explodes into a civil war. China was holding it in, but finally they explode into a civil war. Now, the world's reaction to this is just like, oh no. Mainly because, like, China didn't... Like, everyone thought China was going to explode, but now they really have. Now I'm going to draw up the Civil War. So, here we go. China's in a civil war. We have Tibet, Xinjiang, and the pro-Taiwanese rebellion, which also is supported by the USA. Quickly, well, pretty much immediately, we have the Taiwanese rebellion taking over Hayden. Don't want to be wrong there. As well as beginning an invasion of the Chinese mainland, which, in all reality, this shouldn't be too hard, because China obviously got exploded to death by... Not exploded to death, but they were really hurt by the USA and everybody else. This goes well until the Chinese army says no, and there's a stalemate. Well, not really a stalemate. Not really a stalemate, because, do I just want to call this Guyangxi? I don't want to call it Guyangxi, because it isn't technically Guyangxi. I'm just going to call it? Just the Taiwanese rebellion. Taiwan allows military access to go through here, which is able to make surprises go out onto these Chinese soldiers, which is going to kill them, obviously. Tibet is massive, but they want more. So they're mainly going to focus on taking over, like, these parts of China. China's a massive country, so this is going to take a while. But nobody's really here, so Tibet kind of just invades it. Xinjiang begins their own version of the Chinese mainland, and we have them meeting up with Tibet. And at this point in time, we have Tibet and Xinjiang signed the peace treaty, but they signed a non-aggression pact saying, don't invade us, we won't invade you. So that's signed, and Xinjiang's quite happy with it. And this will lead up into the next video, so this will lead into the next video. But that's going to do it for this video. Really hope you enjoyed it. See you next one. Bye. No, don't exit out, don't exit out.